Welcome back to Around the Arena. This is our 8th episode, and although we've been practicing a lot, we hope that this may be our debut episode. We'll see how it goes.
Definitely.
So, I'm Omar, my co-host Edwin here with me.
Let's go.
And, of course, we're talking about the NBA today. Actually, fun fact, Game 7 right now, we got it on the TV between the Nuggets and the Timberwolves. So, not looking great for the Timberwolves at the moment, but
Nuggets
could be relevant
like 15 or something.
Could be relevant to today's discussion. So,
sure.
Before we started recording this, right, when we were thinking about what topic did we want to discuss on this specific episode, you thought of the idea of basically, okay, there's a transitioning that's happening in the NBA.
Yeah.
Right? We're seeing a transition in the talent. We're seeing a transition in dominance. And so we thought, okay, we have a really big question that we want to ask. And in order to truly answer this question or attempt to answer this question, we need to understand what that question actually means.
Yeah.
Right? Now, the question is, who will carry the next generation of the NBA?
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you told me, hey, I would like for that to be the topic, I was like, okay, how do I even start? Right? How do I even start thinking about this? Well, I had to break down that question into multiple subset questions. Right? So I have 3 subset questions that I've laid out for myself, and I hope that this can be an outline for the rest of this conversation and guide us in trying to figure out and answer this question.
Yeah.
Great. So, who will carry the next generation of the NBA? 3 questions that might help us answer this big question. 1, what does it mean to carry a generation? 2, which players were the previous faces of the league and why? And 3, what will define the next generation of the NBA?
Yep.
Right? So I don't know if you want to start anywhere particularly. We're not going to answer these questions in a structured manner, one by one. We're going to have a natural
flow. It's just going to flow.
We're just going to have a natural conversation here and hope that these questions can just generally guide us, right?
Yeah. I mean, first, I think it's important to establish the fact that we are in a transitional period in the NBA. LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, none of them are in the playoffs. None of them made it past the first round.
Yeah.
Of the 3 of them, only one of them won a playoff game. So, it's pretty obvious that it's in with the new, out with the old, kind of, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the oldest guy left right now in the playoffs is Kyrie Irving. Mm-hmm. So and he's still young in my eyes. I think he's like 32 or something like that. Like he's still kind of in his prime.
That's like a new age prime, I feel.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just feel like we first need to establish the fact that that's what it is, right? It was LeBron, Steph, and KD's era, and now it's probably not anymore, right? And, with the Olympics coming up, I feel like that's going to be our proper kind of last ride with those guys, as the face of USA basketball, as the face of basketball, period.
Mm-hmm.
And, I just thought it'd be important to just establish that that's what's going on, right?
Sure.
I mean, Jokic right now, it feels like we're in the Jokic era. If you would have told me that we were in the Giannis era right before Jokic won that, I would have believed that as well. We're definitely in kind of trying to figure out who that next face is. And I kind of think right now the pretty obvious answer, although, there are young stars like Anthony Edwards and, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander,
Mm-hmm.
Luka Doncic.
Mm-hmm.
We're in the Jokic era right now, right?
We're in the Jokic era.
Yeah. It just feels like it. They have a little bit of that invincibility around them right now that's really hard to explain. They were down 2-0, came back, tied it. Then now it's Game 7. I mean, it's still going on behind us. Hopefully I don't jinx it or anything, but I think they're going to win. I think it's safe to assume they're going to win. They have this, Jokic has this kind of like aura of invincibility around him right now that only comes with like the all-time greats.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say we've definitely witnessed that before, right? But it's interesting that you say that we're in the Jokic era. I mean, we're definitely in the Jokic era. The question is, how long will that era last?
It's a great question, yeah.
And I asked that because in this discussion, right, trying to figure out who will carry the next generation of the NBA, when you look at the all-time greats, man, they set the bar so extremely high that it's very easy to get trapped in the moment and think that a player that's competing at the highest levels at this moment in time can be that person or will be that person. Mm-hmm. Of course, they can be that person, but that bar is so high that it's almost hard to judge this early on, right? And you actually made an interesting point, and it was very, very quick, where you said, I felt like it was Giannis a few years ago, now we're in the Jokic era. And that actually is really important because it signifies to me that there's a vacuum. Right? There's a vacuum in who is the most dominant player in the NBA, or I should say, there's a vacuum in who is the face of the NBA. Because we know who's the most dominant player in the NBA. You just said it. It's Jokic, right? It's pretty obvious. But dominance doesn't equate to being a sufficient qualifier for
most
being the face
viewed and most like
there's so much. There's going to be so much we get into
most
in this conversation.
Shoe sales, things like that.
Oh yeah,
right?
we'll get into it.
Yeah,
we'll definitely get into it because those things really, really matter, right? And so when you pointed that out, a few years ago I felt like it was Giannis. Now I feel like it's Jokic. Is it going to be Jokic? It's going to be Jokic for the next 5 to 10 years. It's going to be Anthony Edwards, right? So when you originally brought this question to mind, you actually had made this proposition. It was more of a thought experiment than it was an opinion per se, which is, should the face of the NBA be an American? Now, I don't want this conversation to have any kind of xenophobic or nationalistic undertones.
Yeah,
this is not
bullshit.
what this is about, right? This is more of a practical, demographic. Well,
I mean, look, basketball's in America, so it's
it's an American.
Let's just keep it that like all games, like they get most of their ratings from America. All of it takes place in America. Obviously, the American market matters the most, right? So it's like, we don't have to turn it into something it's not, right?
Well, I might actually disagree with you there, or I might maybe provide some points to kind of contend with that a little bit, right? Well, here's the thing. It's really interesting because it's kind of complicated. And again, the reason why I brought up Giannis and Jokic in this topic is because if you think about it, the last 6 MVPs have been won by 3 players only, and all 3 were international players.
For sure.
It was originally Giannis Antetokounmpo from Greece. You had Joel Embiid from Cameroon, and now Nikola Jokic from Serbia. These 3 players have been pretty dominant. I mean, there hasn't been much success for Embiid in the finals per se, but they've been dominant in the regular season, and they've been one of the biggest names in the NBA by 100%. Far, right? But with Giannis won a ring, Jokic has won his ring, right? And they've been consistent names in finals contenders for the last 5 years. So to me, it's really interesting because it seems like international players have dominated the NBA.
There's no denying the dominance, right?
Right.
It's about who gets the most eyeballs, right? Is that not what this is about?
Well, of course it is. It's what it's about, right? And well,
is that what we categorize as the next face of the NBA? The most eyeballs, or is it the most dominant? Like,
but no, it's going to be it. In my opinion,
mix of both.
It's multi. In my opinion, the person who will qualify to be the best face of the NBA has to achieve an idyllic career, meaning that they have to have an extremely accomplished career in multiple domains or multiple fronts, not just rings, not just dominance in terms of like whatever points per game or blocks or whatever it may be, or even MVPs. No. It has to be a slew of different measures that they dominate in order for them to even be considered a real face of the NBA.
Now we're talking.
No, for real. Like, no room for it. Because, and this is what I was alluding to earlier, which was that...
Because the guys before set the barometer high.
Yeah, I mean, we can pull the names out, but I'm going to wait till we pull the names out a little bit. I'm going to wait till we pull the names out a little bit. I think, first to address your point, I think it's good to acknowledge that how international the NBA has become. So, interestingly, in 1984, there was only 23 international players in the league. Today, there's 125.
And it's only growing.
It's growing at a steady pace, but it is growing.
The number one projected pick for this year's draft, he's from France.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think in the top 5, I think there's 3 guys that are European.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. Oh, yeah, I'm glad you said that. And this is going to matter in a second.
Yeah.
But it's good to acknowledge the international, the increasing international presence in the NBA's cohort of players, right? And if to put it in perspective, that's 25% of the NBA's players are international players, right? And just for more context, the most popular nationality outside of the U.S. For the typical NBA player is Canadian, obviously, because they're right there up north. But then it's France, then Australia, then Serbia, Germany, Nigeria, and Turkey, right? So those are the most popular nationalities of NBA players currently, right? Cool. And it's cool because Wemby's French. We're seeing a lot of French players.
We didn't even mention Wemby, who he's probably inevitable. He's inevitable to be that next guy. But yes.
Yeah, but like it matters, right?
Yes, 100%.
France is really putting their foot down, even though technically they're not. They don't they're not one of the top NBA markets around the world, but their players are definitely seeping through the system, right? And they're, I mean, deservedly so. So I think that it's really important to just acknowledge the fact that, okay, the NBA is becoming more international. And the reason I bring that up is because I think that the NBA has a decision to make, right? And this decision will ultimately influence who can be the face of the NBA.
When you say the NBA, what do you mean by, like, who has a decision to make?
Well, I don't want to just say Adam Silver. I think it's just the leadership of the NBA. And honestly,
I think we say Adam Silver because it's like he's the figurehead of it all. But I think when it's safe to say Adam Silver and also know that he's implying whatever's behind him.
Yes, of course. Like his team, the executive leadership, the owners. It's really a collective effort that's hard to pinpoint to one person, right? This is a kind of a collective consciousness that drives these efforts, right? And that starts with an acknowledgement of what direction the NBA is headed in.
Exactly.
So the reason I bring that up is because the NBA so the NBA isn't even the most popular sport in its own country. It's the second most popular behind the NFL.
Yeah.
But it's arguably the most popular sport in a lot of other countries around the world.
Yes.
And if anything, the NBA actually has the biggest global presence compared to any of the major U.S. sports leagues today.
Okay, yeah. Because we're not talking about soccer, obviously.
Yeah, we're not talking about soccer, even though you could. So actually, the NBA or basketball in general ranks fourth in the most popular sport in the world, behind soccer, behind it's either the Olympics or tennis, and then the other one.
Okay, gotcha.
So those are the most popular sports in the world, but basketball is right there. You don't see football there. You don't see baseball there.
It's true.
Right? You don't even see NHL there, even though the NHL actually comes in second in terms of, well, they have a lot of international presence, obviously.
Yeah, Russian. They got a huge Russian presence.
Canadian, et cetera.
Canadian is a good point.
So it's interesting to me because the NBA has a very big opportunity in front of it. And I think that they're kind of stuck at a crossroads because they need to, the decision they need to make is whether they should prioritize growing domestically in the US market or whether they should focus on growing globally, right? And the reason I say that is because of that global presence compared to any of the other sports leagues.
Explain why both can't be the priority.
Because it's extremely hard to do both, first of all, just from an effort perspective, right? Like you have to pay attention to one market at a time. It's very hard to grow simultaneously in a myriad of different markets because how are you going to allocate your resources? And on that note, the NBA has a limited amount of capital to begin with. I mean, it generates $10 billion in revenue a year, right? But that will probably increase now with the new media rights deals, which we can touch on if you want. But there's only so much money the NBA can spend in marketing efforts and global expansion efforts. So to me, if you want to be a practical strategist, then you need to pick a select few markets and focus on growing in those markets. And what's interesting is that the NBA, if you look at here's a way to look at it. This is like a macro way to look at it, right? The US has 350 million people, which means that the NBA's total addressable market, right? The theoretical maximum amount of people that it could technically capture as a fan is 350 million people in the US.
Sure.
Okay. Well, let's just bucket the US as one category and then global is the rest.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, first of all, which countries have the top NBA fans in the world, right? If you had to rank them. Actually, try to guess. What's number 2 outside of the US?
I don't want to say Canada. Yeah, I don't want to say anywhere in South America. I'm going to say Spain.
Well, Spain is in the top 5.
Okay.
But they're not number 2. So actually, the second most popular market, or you can say the country with the most NBA fans outside of the United States is actually Brazil.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Very
I thought about Brazil, but I was like, no way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Brazil. Then it's China. Then it's Spain. And then it's Indonesia. So I'll just rattle off the top 4 or top 5, right? But I could keep going. There's more. And the way I thought about it was, okay, these are a lot of different countries. However, if you want to make a global push, the potential market size is almost an order of magnitude higher than it is in the United States.
Sure.
Right? Why? Because if you look at the populations of each of these countries and you aggregate them together, and I'm talking about the next top 10 markets outside of the US. So not just top 5, but top 10, right? So we're going to include Italy, Australia, France, South Africa, Germany, and India. Okay, in
Sure.
addition to the ones that I had mentioned before, that total population across all of those countries is 3.6 billion people.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I mean, wouldn't the argument be if somebody needs to, if we're then arguing the next face of the NBA, we're saying, does it have to be American, right?
Mhm.
And you're kind of saying, well, no. You're implying, well, no, because of 350 million versus, would you say 3 billion,
3.6 billion.
3.6
Yeah.
billion in the rest, right?
Mhm.
But nobody besides from France, right? Wemby, and then Luka played in Spain. Nobody is from those places
Mhm.
that's in the NBA right now, right? I mean, well, maybe Serbia. Did you mention Serbia or no?
Serbia is not one of the biggest markets
Okay.
with NBA fans, but that's probably because it's a population issue.
Right. And
Right?
yeah, right. And then like when you look at China used to gravitate like towards Kobe like crazy,
Okay.
right?
Mhm.
So that was funny. But he used to be in Shanghai and it was like Taylor Swift walking
Yeah.
down the street. Like it was crazy.
Mhm.
So I don't know that just because the facts you're giving me are facts doesn't mean that it doesn't have to be an American player.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, I
Like,
completely agree.
but the question is, can one of these European guys, and I'm going to include
Mhm.
Wemby in that as well,
Mhm.
capture that
Yes.
market
Yes.
as well, right?
Yeah.
Can Wemby go to China and be loved like Kobe was,
Yes.
right? Or and there are definitely videos of LeBron as well in there, like where the people just storm him,
Yeah.
right? So that's the question.
It's a
Can
great
one of
question.
these guys
Yeah.
capture that market, right?
They're going to have to if they want to be the face of the NBA.
Yes.
And I'll add on to your point because I agree with you, right? I'm giving you some facts, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're robust.
Omar's the Riddler.
No, so the reason I brought that up, I think it's just an interesting thought experiment because if I'm Adam Silver and I'm like, okay, I want to maximize the amount of revenue the NBA can generate, I have an advantage over the NFL in the sense that I have a way bigger global presence than the NFL can even dream of. Dude, 21% of the NBA's media rights fees come from international media rights
You
fees.
said 23%?
21%. So that's $719 million a year right now.
Okay.
And that's not even including if they get a markup on their media rights deals, which they will.
Sure.
That number is only going to go up.
Of course.
Right? And that's the highest among all of the major U.S. sports leagues in the U.S. That's the highest. Right? So it goes NBA, then NHL, then NFL, and then what's the fourth one? Blanking on MLB.
Okay.
Right? Hopefully I'm not mistaken on that. So when I look at that, I'm like, well, there's a clear path here for the NBA that these other sports haven't really taken.
Because they can't.
Because they can't.
I mean, because they don't have that same international pull,
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
So we can't just ignore that.
Right.
So I thought about it. Like, all right, well, there's a lot of, the amount of international players in the NBA is increasing. That's a pretty good promotion for global expansion or whatever. But then I was thinking, okay, well, if you want to appeal to the global markets, then maybe you should have an international player be the face of the NBA.
Maybe it's also, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Maybe it's also important to remember that, like right now, the NBA is not really clicking in the American market like it once did.
Exactly. Exactly. But here's the thing. It's that if Jokic is the best player in the league, it's not translating to ratings. Giannis is the best player in the league. It's not translating to ratings.
That's true.
Embiid, which I never thought he's the best player in the league, it's not translating to ratings. Every single face of the NBA has been an American and has generated extreme numbers in the finals, in the regular season, in jersey sales, and ticket sales, all of it, right? So for me, that's the counter argument, which is it's not really working right now. We have international players in the NBA that are the best players in the NBA.
Great point.
But it's not translating.
It's a great point.
What's actually happening is that they're having a positive impact on their respective countries' audiences. But not here.
Yeah.
Right. For example, Jokic, after they won the finals against the Heat, generated a 66% increase in NBA viewership on NBA League Pass in Serbia.
I believe
and an overall 50% increase in NBA viewership in Serbia via Arena Sports Network, which is their local sports TV network
gotcha.
in Serbia. But the finals only averaged 11.6 million, which is actually a slight downtick from the previous year.
Yeah.
So there's a problem.
Yeah.
There's
I
a
mean,
problem.
we know what the problem.
What's the problem?
Okay. Well, the problem, Jokic isn't. Things have kind of changed. Let me be clear before I get people in the comments going crazy. All right, chill out. We love Jokic. I love Jokic. My girlfriend loves watching Jokic. Like everything about him, I've come to love. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe initially I wasn't the biggest fan, but I would categorize myself as definitely like a pretty big fan of him.
Mhm.
But he's done some commercials here and there. He did the Despicable Me commercial, which I think is great. He has the Hotels.com commercial as well. He has his own shoe brand in China, bringing up China again, right? And he just dropped like a colorway of his shoes, which will pop up right now of a SpongeBob SquarePants. So it's like, so he's leaning in to it more, right? He's leaned into it more, but he wasn't very marketable, right? And maybe we'll see if these playoffs and, these finals get more views than last year. And maybe he is starting to resonate a little bit more, but it's weird. He's not super athletic. He doesn't jump out of the gym. He has insane passing, right? Like he's so much fun to watch for a diehard fan, but does he bring in enough casual fans? That's like a super important question. Because I think when you're thinking about Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, those guys bring in casual fans like crazy. Yeah. And I think that it's because they're like, they're crazy athletic. And I think Jokic, maybe, I don't know if marketed right is the right term, but I'm not sure if he's marketed right to really, because when you watch Jokic, you're like, man, every game I feel like you get an insane passer. You're just like, that's not human. Like that makes no sense. Mm-hmm. But it's a little bit harder for the casual fan to comprehend like that it was a difficult pass, right? Like full court on the money right here. That doesn't make it like super, that doesn't bring as many eyeballs as like a crazy ass dunk over 2 or 3 people, crazy athleticism. And I'd say something about Kobe, LeBron, MJ, they had this like very like mysterious swag about them that maybe these international guys just don't have. Does that make sense? Like, and again, no shade. It's just, I'm kind of trying to figure out what the difference is, right?
Yeah.
And you feel a little bit of that with Anthony Edwards, right? You do feel a little bit of that with And when I see Wemby, I definitely feel that, right? Like he makes no sense to me in a great way. Like what he's able to do makes no sense to me on the court. But then I'm still like, for some reason, I feel like American people have they have it in their head that it needs to look like MJ.
I would agree.
Or LeBron or Kobe.
Well, yeah.
Because they're all a little bit different, but a little bit of the same.
Rightfully so, to be honest. When
Yes
you look
and no.
at the numbers, man, it makes complete sense.
Yes.
It makes complete sense.
No, yes, it does. But we're not, it's almost like because Anthony Edwards is bringing in a lot of those casual fans, I feel like. My girlfriend just mentioned like, that she feels Anthony Edwards everybody loves him. That's what she said. She's like, I haven't seen anyone like talk bad about him, right? Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, that's weird. Like it's just weird how we're almost conditioned to be like, if it doesn't look like that, we're not interested. And that's when I say we, I mean casual fans, right? So why do you think that is? You said, it makes complete sense, but go ahead and expand on that.
Okay, well, let's make it a little bit more interesting. Do you think that Anthony Edwards can be the face of the league if he doesn't win?
No.
Okay. So that's number one. I think that's the most important thing. Every single face of the league has been a serial winner, right? They have won at the highest level multiple times.
Love that.
And I actually looked myself. I literally thought of, okay, all right, who have been the faces of the league in the last 25 years? Just me as a casual fan, right? I'm not a hardcore fan. I don't know my shit like that. But I was like, all right, names top of mind. Who? Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, and Steph Curry. Those are my 4, and and I looked at the numbers, and all of the numbers back all of them.
And
up.
If we even want to go just a step back, Magic Johnson,
Larry Bird. Perfect, bro.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: I looked at all of them, right? And all I looked at was their performances, and I don't mean points per game. I don't mean I'm not even looking at rings. I'm looking at finals appearances. I want to know about finals appearances. Why? Because everyone gets caught up and judging a player based on the amount of rings that they've won, which is fine. That's a valid argument when you want to have a GOAT discussion. Whatever. I don't care about having a GOAT discussion.
We're not talking about that right now.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out who can be the face of the league, right? Who's relevant right now and what characteristics do they need to embody in order to emulate their predecessors, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Larry Bird, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I came down to two things. One, it's the number of finals appearances. On average, all of these players, all of these previous faces of the league, if you take the average of all of their finals appearances, you would need to make the finals on average 7 times.
Okay.
7 times.
It's a lot.
Today's NBA, you guys know this, is insane, right? We're chewing our fingernails trying to just see one of our teams make it to the finals at least once.
Yeah, I mean, parity's at an all-time high right now. That's obvious, but it's important to take into account.
Sure.
Because nobody's won back-to-back in, I think, 6 years?
Since the Warriors.
Yeah, 7 years, something like that.
Yeah, since the Warriors in 2017-18.
Yeah.
I think so.
No. 2016, 2017.
They won.
The
they won
Raptors beat them.
That was 2019.
2019?
Yeah.
2017,
2018 LeBron. So I always think of, right? Or am I mistaken?
2020 was the Bucks? No.
Yeah, 2020.
No, I'm sorry. 2020 was the Lakers.
Yeah.
2021 was the Bucks. 2022 was the Warriors.
Yep.
2023 was the Nuggets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
so we didn't answer that question at all.
I think, okay, well, no, it is the Warriors. Okay, so just basically to answer your point, it's the Warriors. They were the last ones to do a back-to-back. They were the last ones to win back-to-back. And I think it was when they beat LeBron twice. 2017,
2018. Yes, you're right.
Okay.
All right, my bad.
No, it's all good.
All right, cool.
No. So this is really important, though. So that's the number one thing. They need a lot of finals appearances.
Yeah.
Number two, the extremely important thing, and I love this fact, you need to face the same opponent multiple times in the finals.
Interesting.
And you have to do it on average 3 times.
Is that a necessity?
Yes.
Because I don't think so.
I think so. If you want to be the face of the league for a generation, remember, we're not talking about right now. We're talking about the next 10 years.
MJ played who?
He played the Jazz twice. And his last
By
2
then
seasons...
he was already the
Oh,
face.
I know. Right? But guess what? Those ratings ranked in the highest viewership of all time in the NBA.
Yes.
35 million in Game 6. You know that.
Well, hold on. But that might not be because it's the Jazz. That might be because he had retired right prior. So it almost gives there's this, I want to say air of like, man, you never know. It could be the last time we're watching him. You never know, right?
For sure.
Because he kind of already showed signs of being kind of like burnt out maybe, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's the opponent. I think it's the fact that it was Jordan.
Well, the reason why, yes, that's a great point, and I would be mistaken to just to exclude that fact for sure, right? But another thing to consider is that was a rematch from the previous year.
Yeah.
Right, so that matters.
Yeah.
Right, so there's a rivalry.
That's true.
Right?
Definitely.
That's why I brought this
100%,
up, because
100%.
it's a rivalry
Yes.
that you need. Now, Jordan, what was special about Jordan is that he played so many different opponents in the finals that he's actually the lower outlier in this analysis.
Okay.
Right, but when you look at like the rest of the winners, including Magic and Bird, they all faced the same opponent at least twice, if not more. Right.
Kobe, you're talking about the Celtics.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Celtics, Lakers, Celtics, biggest rivalry in all of basketball. Okay, of course.
But we need that, right? And now here's the thing. I'm saying these two things in conjunction with one another, right? So you need to have the finals appearances, which it made Jordan. He had the finals appearances.
Of course, all of them
what
did.
Tied it up, what tied it off was the fact that he beat the same opponent twice in his last 2 seasons as a Bull. And that generated the highest ratings ever in the game.
100%.
When he could have easily generated those ratings in any other season before that.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? And actually, fun fact, did you know, like, the year after the second retirement, right? So in 1999, that was the highest average ratings for a regular season in NBA history, and it was a lockout season. It was after Jordan retired. Isn't that weird?
That is weird.
They averaged
Everyone
3.1.
felt like they had a chance.
Yeah, everyone.
Or what?
Yeah, maybe. Like they're like, ooh, who's gonna win now?
Yeah,
right. There's a vacuum, just like where we are right now.
Yeah,
there's a vacuum. But the difference is that the viewership ratings, the regular season average, has plummeted. It's plateaued. That was 3.1 million, by the way. So they were averaging 3.1 million viewers per regular season game.
Sure.
Season right after. Just a fun fact. Okay.
Okay.
Right.
I love that. It started you started this by asking me, can Anthony Edwards be the face without winning? And I think we've safely established no.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we established finals appearances, right? And since in the past 6 years we haven't gotten anybody go more than twice, right?
Yeah,
has anyone even made it twice? The Celtics?
No. They played the Warriors and then they didn't make it the
conference
next year.
Finals, 3 years in a row?
But I'm talking about finals.
Yes, but we're only talking finals.
Yeah.
So Yeah. Oh, the Heat. The Heat have made it twice. They
Yeah,
made
but
it
not
against the
back-to-back.
Lakers and then against the Nuggets last year.
Yeah, but that wasn't back.
Obviously, not back to back. So,
but they
and I mean, it's crazy that we're saying this because everyone was like, "Oh my God, Jimmy Butler's kind of like insane. He might be a Hall of Famer because he's just making it back to the finals."
Yeah.
So I think that is such a important barometer for like all-time greats. Just did you make it to the finals? Did you win it? Is a whole different discussion that then you're having GOAT conversations, right? But we're talking face, we're talking, things like that, right? So if Jokic makes it back this year and Jokic wins back-to-back, does he get the most views he's ever gotten?
He's ever gotten?
Yeah. This year. If it's let's say it's against the Celtics.
I'm going to go on a limb and say yes.
Okay, I agree.
But not by a big margin.
No.
From the previous.
No, I agree.
But that has to be a damn good finals, man. Because right now it's the NBA finals is supposed to be a display or a quintessential display of the sport. It has to be the highest form of basketball that you can watch.
It has it's the
right.
Yes.
If we 100%. Don't get that, then no, they're not going to get that many, or they might have one game.
Last year sucked.
Yeah,
it sucked.
Exactly. So
Nuggets Heat, it sucked.
But we need a rivalry.
Yes.
So here's the problem.
I understand that.
Is that if we want to talk about Jokic, obviously, right? He's the number one example or the number one player that we can point to, just for the sake of this conversation. He doesn't have a rival. He has individual players that can give him troubles on occasion.
Not really.
Oh, like players like
not really, bro. He just put the fucking.
Okay.
He put the defensive player of the year in a body bag.
Fair enough.
I mean, come on.
Enough. No, there you go. More to the point, right? Like literally, no one can stop him. And the thing is, like, you could say, well, no one was stopping Jordan and shit. Yeah, but here's the thing with Jordan, and you know your history way more than I do. Sure. But what I loved it when I was doing this research was I looked at the type of people or the caliber of players that these guys were playing against. Bro, Jordan was playing against Isaiah Thomas and the Bad Boy Pistons, Patrick Ewing in the Knicks, Malone and Stockton on the Jazz, Clyde Drexler on the Blazers, and even Magic on the Lakers. Bro, this era of basketball was stacked, and we all know that. This is why we put Jordan on a pedestal. That's why we call him the GOAT, right? So he had multiple rivalries, and he had a lot of challenges on the way to the finals. We never talk about the fact that Jordan lost in the playoffs, right? When people are comparing...
I just had this debate yesterday.
Yeah, exactly, right? When people are comparing LeBron and Jordan, which I'm not trying to do right here, they always say, well, he's 6-0 in the finals. It's like, yeah, man, but how many times did he lose in the playoffs? Yeah, and then, LeBron has 10 finals appearances. Yeah, he has the most finals appearances ever.
It's what we start doing when we're splitting hairs. It's the GOAT conversation, right?
Right.
That's what that's for.
But I feel like it's important to mention that because that demonstrates the level of competition in that era that we either sleep on or we acknowledge, but then we kind of sidestep when we have this conversation.
You're right.
Right?
Sorry. I think right now we're in an era, by the way, right now the Wolves are down by 4, middle of the third quarter. Ooh. Anthony Edwards.
Little dunk?
Breakaway dunk.
All right.
This whole conversation could change in like 30 minutes. Yeah, no, like actually. All right, but listen.
I'm excited.
But that's great. See, Anthony Edwards, like I was just going there with this point. It's like we're starting to establish that though slowly. Wemby's on the way. Like Wemby's on the way. I could say that a million times. I hope anyone that hears me like really hears the conviction in my voice because the new blood is becoming established. SGA and the boys this year, they made it to the second round. I'm sure they'll be back next year. I'm not sure that they'll make the Western Conference Finals, but they're starting to establish themselves, right? They were the 1 seed, the youngest 1 seed ever. You have the Timberwolves that, they have the Defensive Player of the Year, potential next face of the league that, we're kind of hinting at. The Celtics, they look dominant out East. We need the East to kind of catch up a little bit when I'm having this conversation, but the Celtics, like I said, they've made it 3 times in a row. Now, it would have been better, in my opinion, if it was the Celtics last year playing against Jokic, because now they maybe play again.
Yes, exactly.
And we started to establish that rivalry, right? But I do feel like we could potentially see this finals a couple years in a row, right? Celtics, Nuggets, maybe, assuming that's what it is, right? And your argument is that in order for someone to be the face, they need a rival. Does it have to be in that opposing conference, or can it be in their own conference? Can it be,
great question,
Rudy Gobert?
It has
probably
to be.
Not. Anthony Edwards, the Timberwolves. I only said
not,
probably not to Rudy Gobert, not to the Timberwolves. Okay, you know what I mean?
So the language I would use is not that it has to, but it should. It should be the opposite conference, man. Because like I said, the finals are a quintessential display of the sport. You're playing. You need to play the best person you can play in the highest or in the biggest stage of the sport.
Sure.
That is how you solidify yourself as a great number one. But if you can consistently do that, you become the face of the league.
I wish we had numbers on this, and I wish we knew that this is where we were going, because when it was the Rockets and Warriors in 2018, LeBronto year, I'm pretty sure.
Like playoffs,
I'm pretty sure that the Rockets versus the Warriors got more views than the Cavs versus the Warriors. Does that make sense?
Ooh, okay.
I wouldn't
don't know.
be surprised.
I actually don't know.
So this would be fun to kind of, because that everyone was like, whoever wins this is winning the finals. I thought if the Rockets made it, that the Cavs would beat the Rockets, right?
Yeah.
That year, I remember we were like, man, let's hope it's the Rockets.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think we did. Yeah.
But that's why I'm not sure if that's true. I don't know if the Western Conference Finals had more views than the finals that year, because it was like once we were in the finals, we knew what was going to happen.
But that's a problem to me.
Sure, 100%.
Like, that's not good enough for me.
Okay.
It's not.
But
it's like watching a World Cup and being like,
I guess the right question to follow all of this up is like, what if we reach a point where we just never get that level of consistency ever again? What if we're in the era of parity? Can we ever have a face in the era of parity?
I'm sure everyone said that after Jordan retired. I'm sure everyone said that shit.
I guess, bro.
And then what happened? Like, you alluded to it in one of our previous episodes. You said that was a dark period for the NBA, and then guess what happened? Kobe Bryant showed up.
Yeah, Kobe and Shaq. Yes.
Kobe and Shaq, but then Kobe, I mean, we can have a conversation about this, right? I would look at him. They three-peated, but then he won 2 more rings separately without Shaq, and Shaq won 1 more ring, of course, without Kobe. But Kobe set the precedent, or Kobe met the sufficient amount of finals appearances and just general winning to then allow himself to become the face of the league by letting his persona and his charisma shine and really stepping into that role.
I understand, but we're in 6 years now. Only the Miami Heat have made the finals 2 times.
Yeah.
They're the only team that in this 6-year period.
Vacuum. It's a vacuum.
Sure, but
it's okay.
No, I get what you're saying, but it's like, how much longer until someone takes it?
Well, we don't know.
Obviously.
We don't know, right? But this is why we're having this conversation, because it's like, what players can we look to who have that promise in them? For me, it's like, you guys need to make the finals pretty consistently first.
Give me a couple names.
Well, you said Wemby. I think Wemby has Wemby can be like a new version Kareem almost, where he's shooting from everywhere on the court and just dominating. I mean, let's go back to like that in the 80s, man. I mean, back to the point I was making. Magic Johnson faced off with Larry Bird 3 times, right? Let me build that point out real quick, and then I will answer this question, right? Because let's talk about Curry and LeBron for a second. Because when you said, me and you used to have conversations, and we would say, man, this sucks. It's always the same 2 people going at it, right? Why?
Whoa. We only hated it when Kevin Durant joined the Warriors. We didn't hate it because we needed that best out of 3 after. It would have been best out of 3, right? It was yes.
Okay, that's a good point.
We needed that best out of 3, and we never got it. If we had gotten that best out of 3, I guarantee you that those finals, after LeBron coming back from 3-1, that 2017 Cavs team was better than the year before. They just ran into the fucking Kevin Durant Warriors, right?
Sure.
He ruined that shit.
Fair enough, right?
100%
but guess
facts.
What? All those games still raked in more finals numbers than since 2001.
You're talking about Kevin Durant versus...
No, I'm talking about all 4 years. Curry versus LeBron. Even when KD joined, every single one of those median ratings in those NBA finals outperformed almost all the ones from the last 10 years.
I'm not surprised at all.
Right? So, I was surprised because I thought that seeing the same competitors over and over again in the finals would get pretty boring. But it actually turns out...
has such a big fan base. LeBron has such a big fan base, right?
Yeah, but they challenge each
other.
other.
They're both going to watch. Yes.
They challenge each other,
100%.
right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, so, this is strictly from a numbers perspective, right? Because there's so many off-court, intangible qualities about these people that we can go into in just a little bit.
Right.
But just to put the numbers out there, every time you have a consistent rivalry between 2 teams that's a genuine rivalry where one of them is actually winning, the other one's winning, right? It's not just one person dominating the other. It seems to be a recipe for success, not just for the league, not just for finals ratings, but to allow these players or the superstars on these teams to become the faces of the league, right? So that's the point I'm making, is that, and obviously, I mean, I said it earlier,
everybody needs worthy competitors.
Yeah, so
if not, it's just deemed too easy.
Exactly, it's too easy and it's boring, and yeah, I mean, it's not. Who wants to watch a sport that's not competitive, right? And so like, if I'm a fan of the NBA and I'm not engaged even in the finals, then why I'm not going to be engaged I'm not going to pay extra attention if there's a new face of the NBA. Unless they give me a reason to pay attention. So you better give me a damn reason to pay attention.
Show back up to the finals.
Yeah, show back up, but I want you to
dominate.
Either dominate, but yeah, make finals appearances. But what would make it even better if there's someone who's a thorn in your side. You're not perfect. We don't want you to be perfect.
Like what? Give me a name, bro. I know you're thinking one.
Well, here's the thing. I can't say Jordan because he was 6-0 in the finals, but again, he lost in the playoffs. I mean, who did he lose to? Early on in the playoffs. Well, did the Pistons beat him at one point?
Celtics, Pistons like 3 times. And then when he came back, he lost to the Magic, the Penny and Shaq Magic. And I think that was it.
Right.
I could be missing one.
So Jordan's an interesting case because he lost to...
Damn, we're in a 1-point game.
Yeah.
Jordan's an interesting case because he lost to...
Because he lost to a collection of different teams, right? Not just one team. But to give you... And he's kind of an anomaly in and of himself. But
he's but because he had the shoe, because he's marketable, because he's good looking, because he's not controversial. He definitely was with the gambling stuff.
Yeah.
But, like LeBron... I still to this day stand by this, and maybe we're getting a little bit off topic, but LeBron started kind of dabbling more into like the social justice, side of things, and that's completely fine. We're not here to hate on it at all, but I think that a lot of people were like turned off by that. A lot of common, people are kind of like, shut up and dribble. We don't want to hear a basketball player talk about social issues, right? Stupid. But I feel like with MJ, it was kind of like, I'm the best in the world and you're going to come watch me.
Yeah.
It was a little bit different. He wasn't.
Yeah. But it wasn't easy.
Not at all.
And I think right now the Nuggets and even the Warriors at one point just made it look so easy. But the only reason the Warriors got away with it is because it was LeBron James on the other side of the court. If it wasn't LeBron, I bet you those fucking finals ratings would have dipped much sooner.
100%. 100%.
Right? And here's the thing. Again, I'll give you another example. LeBron had multiple thorns in his sides. Man, the guy lost to the Spurs. And against,
it wasn't a thorn.
Bro, it Kawhi? Are you telling me Kawhi?
Oh, wait. You're talking to the Spurs?
I'm talking about Miami.
Miami.
In Miami
I thought you were talking about the first time.
He lost against Dak, and then he lost against the Spurs, right? And then he lost the last 2 seasons. Did he lose? No, they beat the Spurs once.
Who? You said he lost.
Sorry, Dirk.
I was like, Dak Prescott?
I mean, Dallas, Dak.
No, yeah, that's right.
My bad.
Okay. Of course. So that was definitely.
So LeBron got criticized for it, but I actually think that it panned out very well for him because it gave him a narrative, and it also showed that he wasn't perfect. So we saw his development. We saw his rise.
Sure.
Right? Same thing with Curry. I mean, Curry, no one was really talking about Steph until they just started popping off all of a sudden. He revolutionized the game in his own way. But LeBron was the thorn in his side. I mean, right? Even though they were dominating, the only reason why, and you were just telling me, is because the players got hurt. It was an unfortunate set of circumstances. And when they were healthy, what happened? They came back 3-1. Right? And I remember I watched an interview with Steph and was it Draymond interviewing or JJ or someone a while back saying, I'll never forget that one. I'll never forget that.
That one stings.
Yeah. And that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Larry and Magic, same thing.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. But, okay, you're giving me the bread of the cake. And I love it. But I want to talk about the icing. You know what I mean?
All right, let's talk about the icing.
And anyone who's listening to this, I don't want you to take it as, oh, he's just completely disregarding what Omar's saying. Because Omar's right with everything he's saying, 1,000,000%. But I also think there are things that come with being the face of the NBA that you have to nail off the court.
Yes, I'm in agreement. Right? Let's hear it.
So
let's hear it.
When I'm watching Anthony Edwards right now, right? He's going off. Yeah. They're down by 1 going into the 4th. This whole conversation might change in a second, right?
He's lucky.
He's going crazy. He's screaming into the camera. He's hitting big shots. It seems like momentum's going in the Timberwolves' way right now. Mm-hmm. But he's the perfect example for me. He's got that aura about him, just like MJ did, just like young LeBron did, just like Kobe Bryant did, where I'm like, man, it's just different. His shoe sales are probably going through the roof right now. if he's not the highest rated jersey, he probably will be soon. No, I think it's LeBron still, right?
Nope, it's Curry.
Really?
Oh, I can tell you. I have a
I
whole
saw
list.
a picture of this year's jersey sales, and LeBron was number 1.
Maybe at some point in the season.
Okay.
But from the most recent search I did, Curry's number 1, Tatum's number 2, Bron's number 3.
Okay, interesting.
Anyway, but continue.
But I wouldn't be surprised. Oh, Tatum, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised if Anthony Edwards is really climbing that, and he'll be there soon. He'll be in that top 3 soon, I'm sure, right? If he wins this game, I'm sure he'll be right there. There's something about these guys that have this.
Yeah.
And I love that you brought up Jayson Tatum because the Celtics have such a great fan base, right? So I would say that's why, he has the, would you say second highest selling jersey?
Yeah.
And Tatum's been in the Eastern Conference Finals, dunked on LeBron James. Yep. He's had that kind of like, I would say, rite of passage that any young face of the league should have. Yet here we are kind of like not even talking about him. He didn't even come up in our conversation. Now, let me ask you why.
You know what I'm going to say.
No, say it.
I mean, they made the finals once. They lost. They are a great team. They consistently perform at the top.
We're only talking about Tatum.
I know. But that matters.
100%.
That matters. Tatum is an amazing player. But to your point, because I know why you're asking.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, look, it comes down to the charisma. It comes down to the persona. It comes down to, like you said, the off-court qualities that these players exude that can really win over.
I'll also say play style. Sure. Because we talked about how Jordan was able to jump out of the gym. LeBron, Kobe, kind of same deal, right? And when we look at Jokic, I'm kind of making a little bit of the argument that that's why the ratings aren't as high. I think if he has that worthy opponent, the ratings would be a little bit higher. But there'd still be a gap between Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, and Jokic, right?
It's fair.
And I think that with Tatum, he also doesn't have that play style, that fan-friendly play style. He's a fucking dog. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here hating on Jayson Tatum. I never will. I actually feel like I'm one of the last people on Jayson Tatum Island because, like, this could be the first year he wins a ring. And to be honest, I would say the odds are that he should be the favorite. The Celtics should be the favorite, right? They're playing the Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals. If they don't have to go through the Nuggets out of the West, they will be the favorites in the finals, right?
Yeah.
So all signs point to Tatum finally getting a little bit of that vindication. Yet I don't think it will resonate with like the fans. I don't know why. I would say the casual fan, right? Because you just said, the Celtics have him at the second highest selling jersey. Celtics fans, right?
Yeah.
It's something about the play style, something about the charisma that just doesn't resonate enough.
Sure.
And I would say it sucks because I like Tatum off the court. He's like all basketball, right? I saw a tweet that said, I just realized Jayson Tatum's the only basketball player that we only criticize for what he does on the court. Meaning he has no scandals. He doesn't do any stupid shit off the court, right? Even with Anthony Edwards early in the year, there was the thing with like when
he was like filming in the car.
With that too. And then he had, that was, okay.
I remember that one.
Yeah. No, he kind of, I guess he got a girl pregnant and he wanted her to get an abortion and, things came out. He's not the perfect person. Not that the face of the NBA has to be at all, right? But
Jordan's a perfect example of that.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just something about Tatum. It's the fact that he doesn't have the off court. And then the fact that on the court, it's not fun to watch.
I have a question for you.
Go.
Okay. If Tatum was on a small market team,
yes,
do you think that he could make that team a large market team?
No.
Interesting.
I don't.
Wow.
And I think
that's okay.
And bro, I don't want this to turn into Tatum.
No. I'm asking.
No,
that
I know.
For a reason. Yeah.
I just don't. And we're watching it happen with Anthony Edwards right now. By the way, the Timberwolves, if they make the finals, if they do anything, forget it. Even if they don't make the finals this year, even if they lose this game right now, tie game, by the way, 9 minutes left. Even if they don't make the finals this year, he's still kind of making Minnesota like a not a big market, but relevant. Yes. Yeah. And I don't think Tatum would have that same pull.
It's a really interesting.
And what's your answer to that?
I mean, whether Tatum would or not, I don't think I'm.
Just pick a side.
if I had to pick
a side,
one,
yeah. Because I'm saying that as a diehard fan.
Yeah.
And you're saying it more from a casual view, and I think that casual view is important.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I actually agree with you. I mean, I do watch. I've seen Jayson Tatum play a lot. Just, and Ant was one of my favorite players when he first came in. He's still super young, but he's already, I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? My man is already like, he's super charismatic. He's he has a sense of humility, but he's also not afraid to trash talk. And he can jump out the gym, man. This man can play.
Yeah.
I mean, he's his athleticism is unbelievable. When I saw him, I was like, dude, this dude's like the next generation Lebron. It's kind of insane. And I'm just solely speaking from an athletic perspective.
100%, 100%.
So I agree with you. I think that he just checks some of those extra boxes that some of these other players in the league who are extremely dominant on the court don't necessarily check. And the reason I asked you that question, though, is because I think that the player who could be the face of the league is the one who can turn a small market team into a large market team. And what's interesting is I think about Giannis, for example. Giannis had it in his grasp, but the problem relates more so to potentially his personality.
I don't agree.
No, I'm not.
I want to do the Giannis conversation, but yes.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying one could suggest that, right?
Yeah, I'd love to break down what kind of went wrong with him in a second, but go ahead.
Yeah. But Giannis made the Bucks relevant to the point where not only did he win a ring, right, and make Milwaukee, he's number 5 in jersey sales.
Yeah, that's
right.
A great point.
People are wearing Bucks jerseys.
Yeah,
right.
And they sold the ownership sold.
Well, Mark Lasry sold his stake for he sold like 25% for a lot, bro.
Like 4.3 million or something like that.
I can't remember.
Something. It was crazy.
The valuation of the team was over $4 billion, I believe. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That might have been what it is. But at the same time, it might have been $1 billion, maybe.
How much he made?
How much Lasry?
I can't remember.
Fuck. But whatever. That doesn't happen without Giannis.
Of course.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Right?
So I was going to say, not just that, he recruited another superstar to the team, Damian Lillard.
Yeah.
When do you ever see a superstar go from one small market team to another small market team?
It's a little bit more common nowadays, but definitely still rare.
Yeah, I mean, it's common because people are trying to team the fuck up and win.
Yeah.
Right? But my point is that when you have that kind of gravity, you have the potential to be the face of the league.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. Right? And when I look at jersey sales, I mean, I like to look at jersey sales because it's very indicative of what fans want. It's very indicative of demand generation.
That's great.
And
you're right.
Right? And you can't contend with those numbers. And you could say it's for multiple reasons, but at the end of the day, these are specific jerseys of specific players, not teams, players, right? Curry is number 1 right now. And he's not even in the finals. He's not even in the playoffs.
Yeah,
right? LeBron is still number 3. And yeah, they were in the first round. But like, these two were the faces of the league, probably still kind of are if they're carrying. But Wemby is number 4 in jersey sales. He's not even in the playoffs.
Great point.
Jokic, he's not in the top 10.
Damn.
He's not in the top 10. And you know what? You want to hear another statistic? And I'm not shitting. I'm just stating the facts. StubHub reported, they released a report on their top 10, the teams that generated the highest ticket sales demand. You know who's number 1?
The Lakers.
Yes. It was the Lakers. You know who's number 2? Just for fun.
Golden State.
No. Good. It's a good guess. It's the Knicks. Shout out. I mean,
yeah.
Shout out the Knicks.
Shout out. Big shout out.
Right?
We love New York over
My
here.
point is, guess who wasn't in the top 10?
The Nuggets.
The Nuggets. We're talking about, was it 2-time MVP? 3-time MVP?
3 times.
He's a 3-time MVP. He has won a ring, and he's not even the top 10 in jersey demand.
Well,
jersey demand?
Let's do this real quick. Go ahead.
Or actual ticket sales, right? So we're talking about 3 different types of metrics that measure demand and that require different amounts of effort from the fans themselves, including cost.
Sure. Let's do this real quick.
Yeah.
Jokic has done this bit, the I don't really like basketball bit.
Yeah.
And that does not resonate well with someone who wants to buy their jersey or should buy a ticket to go watch them, play. That's I feel like you can't even debate that, right? Like, people don't like that shit. And he kind of kept it up for a while. I haven't seen him really do it as much anymore. But I don't think people like hearing that, I don't really like basketball. I want to go back home and play with my horses.
That's a really good point.
I think it's funny. I don't mind. And I'm a diehard basketball fan. Look, it's on right now anyway.
Yeah.
And I keep going like this.
Yeah.
So it's like my whole point is like, I'm going to watch anyway.
Yeah.
But you're probably not inviting the casual fan if you're saying like, do I have to go to the parade?
Yeah.
Like, bro, people don't want to hear that shit, And I feel like maybe now he's not doing that as much. And I think if he wins this game 7, right, and he makes it back to the finals, and let's just say he repeats, then maybe we start having that conversation. Maybe the ratings start to match a little bit. Maybe, right? But like, when you don't have that off the court appeal, you have to work almost twice as hard to get those ratings, right? Because it's all about getting those casual fans in. And I don't think he does a good job of that.
This is entertainment at the end of the day.
Exactly. And I find him entertaining, but I'm a diehard basketball fan.
Yeah.
We need someone that invites the casuals. Wemby's a great one.
To your point, I mean, your point is resonating true, at least in terms of jersey sales, man. He's number 4. He's right behind Braun, and he's not even in the playoffs.
And Wemby's,
that's crazy.
I hate this word. It's so overused on social media. And I've now said it like 4 times, but Wemby's aura. I hate that fucking word, bro.
Yeah.
But Wemby's aura is one of one. He's the longest, tallest dude that moves and dribbles and shoots at that size that we've ever seen, right?
Okay.
Like we've seen Bol, Manute Bol, guys like that. We've seen Kevin Durant, who's a little bit shorter, a little bit, doesn't have the same capabilities as Wemby, right? So I think that it won't be the same as, he can jump out of the gym, he'll jump over 4 people, but it's a little bit of it's like it's a different flavor, but same category. He can still make a bunch of casual fans watch, because you never know. He might just come out of nowhere with a crazy block, or, he still has the long limbs, a crazy dunk, maybe not jumping out of the gym, but like the Monstar, or like in Space Jam when Michael Jordan reaches, that's Wemby, right? Things like that exist when you watch him. And he has such a blend of all those things I just mentioned that we've never seen before. It makes it so unique to the point where I feel like it'll gravitate a bunch of casual fans.
So hold on. So you're talking more about his physicality and his style on the court.
Athleticism, yeah. Just kind of, does the eye test match? That's kind of what I'm, yeah.
Okay, well, now we're here, right? And, I've rattled off the numbers I can rattle, right? Now let's get to, I think, a really important part, which you have been doing a good job of kind of keeping relevant throughout this conversation, which is the personality, the person, right? Okay, you've mentioned Wemby. You've mentioned Ant. Let's just start with those two for a second.
And we talked about what maybe is lacking with Tatum a little bit.
Yeah, we've talked about what's lacking with Tatum. I mean, okay, let's start. Do you have any other players on the top of mind? I mean, I would say Luka is
I was just going to say Luka. I think SGA, dude, what I saw from SGA in this past round against the Mavericks was, bro, I might have to make like a Twitter video. I did think about making a little Twitter video, just compiling all the absolutely absurd shots he hit all throughout this entire series. And like, he is special, but just young, just raw. And I'm not saying he doesn't resonate at all. I mean, he's got the crazy fits, and he gets people talking, right? And he's very, very special on the court. To me, like, almost reminds me of, he doesn't jump as much as a young Kobe, but he has that same determination of a young Kobe. Like, I ain't passing y'all the fucking ball. Either I'm making this shit or nobody is, right? And I love that because it's not inefficient at all. Right, he doesn't shoot a bunch of threes. He has his own style, and it's very, very, very fun to watch. But I do think he needs some more time. Like you said, we need to see him in the playoffs. We need to see him, win some big games. And like you said, that's the bread of it. He has all the icing for it, but we got to see him fill out the other side of it, a little bit more. But I'd say SGA, Luka, Wemby, Anthony Edwards. We'll throw Tatum in there just because we talked about him already. And I guess Jokic kind of has like this like little bit of a lead because he's a 3-time MVP, won a championship already. I guess we'll throw him in there as well because he is kind of like the current.
You mean you have to?
Yeah.
You just have to.
There we go.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I mean, would you put Giannis in there?
Yeah, I think why not? The injuries really pissed me off. I do want to have the Giannis discussion real quick. Just super quick.
Let's do it.
I think I know why he hasn't resonated.
Spit.
Well, I think resonated might be the wrong word. I think I know why he hasn't taken that next step. He can't shoot the fucking ball, man. And as small of a detail as that might seem, it's really frustrating to watch. They guard him still like at the free throw line when he's standing at the 3-point line. Like, that's so unappealing. You know what I mean? And I just saw a tweet talking about the game 6 he had against the Suns when they won the championship. He dropped 50 points.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I remember when he won that, I was like, oh, this is Giannis's world.
That's a stamp.
And we're just living in it. And it's weird that he didn't, the injuries, I'm not sure. I'm sure Bucks fans, if any Bucks fans are listening to this, I'm sure they'll think I'm a little bit crazy. I'm not sure firing Mike Budenholzer was like the best idea because think about it. They've already run through 2 coaches and you're probably going to run through Doc Rivers in a second, right? Like they're going to hate him pretty soon.
Mhm.
So I just think it's on the court with Giannis. I think
it's a great observation.
Yeah, like Shaq was awesome. Like Shaq
Different
had the
era,
off
though.
the court stuff,
Mm.
but he wasn't pretending to be someone who could shoot. You're there to see him dominate that fucking
Okay,
paint,
wait, hold
you know?
on. Okay, so could Giannis turn it around without actually improving his shooting ability, or no? Are we stuck to the standards of the modern era of basketball?
I don't know, because Dame's on that team. And Dame can kind of make you not think about that as much, you know?
Mm.
Drew Holiday was a really, like, just super streaky shooter to where the three-point discrepancy really stood out on the court. You know, where it's like, oh, they're not shooting well, and they're guarding Giannis all the way back there, and he can't shoot, and how good is he really? But when you have Dame, it's like, oh, we don't even pay attention to the fact that Giannis can't shoot the three anymore because he doesn't really have to. You know, it does allow for a little bit more of that, kind of like putting him at his more, you know, putting him where he thrives most more. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But does that help him potentially qualify as a face of the league?
Yes. I mean, would you say he was top 4?
In jerseys, top 5.
Finals appearances matter, right?
Yeah.
Okay. He won one, has an MVP, has a finals MVP.
So he needs to come back. Come back.
Yeah.
And keep, and win.
How old? Hold on. How old? You know how old he is?
I'm going to guess 28, 27, 28.
29.
Damn.
29. Still got a good 6-7 years.
For sure.
Right?
I mean, you know, these players their longevity is being extended.
But there's something about Giannis. Another thing, he's been bounced out in the first round a couple of times. I know it was against the Heat that one year. Maybe not in the first round, but definitely early in the playoffs a couple of times. And it's like, bro, all-time greats don't get knocked out that early.
Yeah,
It's
at least
just-
not in that era.
Not when it's your era, bro.
Yeah.
Like, we're supposed to believe you're the one,
Mhm.
and you're out here losing to the Heat. And no
That's-
disrespect, the Heat are tough, but it's like that. Bro,
Yeah.
you
But
get it.
but that, you know, and that kind of that reinforces the point I was making earlier, which is that there's too much parity. It's pluralistic in a way where you have so many teams that could actually win. I mean, right now we just look at the Nuggets and we say the Nuggets, but that could change in the next year or two.
You're saying you need somebody to stand out and stick it out and
Yeah.
stick out so they can take the baton.
Exactly.
Don't just pass it around. Someone
Exactly.
needs to take
First
it.
and foremost, yes,
Mhm.
we need that, and
That's a
we
great
don't
point.
have that. It's been volatile. There's no consistent number one player. The best player in the world in 2021 was Giannis. The best player in the world in 2022 is Jokic,
That's a good point.
right? But like in the early 2000s, I mean, Kobe was making his name and shit, and you could say, well, Shaq had his own narrative as well. But if we're talking about
There's
more
some
versatile
AI,
player, and,
yeah.
and AI, and and all that stuff, but it's like there was a clear person at the top. Same thing with LeBron in Miami, and then and on Cleveland as well. It was clear number one play. Even if people were like KD, Steph Curry, and this is like, no, obviously it's still LeBron.
Yeah.
Right. It's still
sure.
it was still LeBron.
Yeah.
Right. Hence with the ratings, though. I mean, anyway. I don't need to go down that rabbit hole. So yeah, we need someone to really grab it. Someone who can really take that position or that title, that belt, and hold it for a long ass time.
Someone tells you, give me your best bet. Who are you feeling the most?
Oh man, this is tough, bro.
I'm in a 2-horse race between Ant and Wemby.
I mean, so am I.
Yeah.
Can't disagree with that. I mean, honestly, maybe Luka. I really think maybe Luka. There's something
don't
about
think
him. I mean,
so.
he's hurt. I don't know if maybe I haven't watched enough, but there's something about him where I feel like he can just pull it when he needs to, when he's healthy.
He hasn't made the finals yet.
Neither
could
has
make it
Wemby,
this
neither
year.
has Ant.
No, 100%.
And
But
he's
had
still
some more time.
25.
25, but he's had more time. And we've yet to see him break through. We need to see him break through. That's
They
most
might.
important. They might. They definitely might. I'm
Right.
definitely not hating.
Yeah.
The only thing that about Luka is he does have a little bit of a fan-friendly style because I'm like, dude, how the fuck did he just make that shot? Definitely.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
when he plays, he looks like he's laboring like 90% of the time. He looks like he's in pain at all times. And I know right now he's going through a bunch of injuries. But I'm like, bro, you look like
Hey,
you're
bro.
really struggling out there, bro. And no,
yeah.
for real, he bitches too much.
Yeah, that's a big
He
part.
bitches way
Yeah,
too
that's
much.
Not good. It's not good.
But I still
Entitlement.
love him. You know,
No, yeah.
we're going to be tuned the fuck in Western Conference Finals. And I would love if they won it this year. Kyrie, Luka won a ring.
Oh, man.
It'd be so sick.
Yeah.
So again, this isn't a hate thing, but it's like there's something about him that as of late, I don't know. I'm like,
he wouldn't be my number one
Yeah.
pick, but I think he should be included in the conversation. But to be
Agreed.
honest,
That's fair.
Again, back to the point that you made, it's the fact that there's so much competition right now that you really need to be an anomaly physically,
I like that.
mentally, for you to become the face of the NBA. And I think right now I can only see Ant and Wemby fitting that criteria because of their athleticism, and then just the extra icing on top is the personality.
And Wemby and Ant are like kind of polar opposites in terms of personality, but Wemby has that polar opposite that sells, that like super kind of like silent killer, but like humble, but will rip your face off kind of thing. Ant's like, yeah, I'm in your face, I'm the best. Wemby's like, I'll show you.
Okay, well, given that,
and I'm not saying that you pick any. I'm just saying.
I'm going to ask you to pick one.
Oh God, yeah, I'd love to.
No, because you have to. If you had to pick one of them to really be the face, man,
Wemby.
Really?
I think Wemby's going to be the next. He's going to be in debate with Michael Jordan, LeBron James.
Sure.
So therefore.
Okay. Well, I actually love this because
it's so hard.
This is such a full circle moment because how did we start this conversation?
Anthony Edwards is I just can't explain it. I think Anthony Edwards is the one. Like, he's the one. They could win this year.
Yeah.
And bro, if he wins this year, and they go to the Olympics and win gold, and Anthony Edwards has a great showing, is this even a discussion?
No, I think we have a pretty good understanding of
that's what
or
I'm
at least
saying,
what you can't ask for a better start. Well, we'll leave it at that.
Okay, bingo.
Now. We can't
bingo.
Right?
Yeah, facts.
But the reason I think this is a full circle moment because now we're actually choosing between an international player who's French and an American player.
And I was going to go there. I was going to go there.
Full circle moment.
I was going to bring it up.
Now, here's the thing. If you're the NBA, who would you, this is who you think will be.
I'm actually going to make the argument that Wemby can be the first international player to be the face of the league.
Here we go.
I really do.
This is a good segue.
He's with Nike. They did his little rollout. They did his ad, and it did crazy numbers. Everybody's talking about it. It was around the solar eclipse when they did it was in the field in San Antonio or whatever, and it was like the big alien logo. Everyone's assuming that that's Wemby's logo. He signed with Louis Vuitton, so I don't know to what extent, but he's involved with Louis Vuitton. He has that aura about him as well. I think Wemby can be the first international player to be the face of the league.
I like it.
What do you think about that?
I mean, I don't have an answer. I don't know who's going to be, right? But I like that. I like that argument. I think it's very valid. I was going to say something, and I now have lost my train of thought. I mean, well, okay. Actually, what I was going to ask you was, if you're Adam Silver, who would you want to be the face of the league? I'm asking you this. I asked Edwin, and you think Wemby's going to be that way. Do you think that Adam Silver would have a preference as to who it should be, or no? And I'm only asking this for the sake of looking at this from a strategic position.
I think in an ideal world, Adam Silver has Wemby and Anthony Edwards in the finals going against each other as much as possible. Obviously, you can't get that. Yeah, it's over.
Oh, damn. They're fucking up.
Oh, shit.
And
he's talking his shit right now. Ant-Man. Oh, my God. Look at him.
Damn.
Talking his shit right now.
Did he just post or some shit?
Nah, open three. They're up 92-82. 3 minutes left.
Bro, I love it. We're fucking
Ant is talking his fucking shit right now.
Okay, back to my question then, huh? You're seeing
That's what it looks like.
But one of them's in the playoff. One of them is
right now. Yeah, but he's a rookie of the year, second in defensive player of the year. For sure.
But I mean, let's keep it real. This man's 22.
No. Okay, I think the best way to top this off, guys, as we're trying to watch this game, I think the best way to do this is it's simple. There's two answers, and that's okay.
That's actually
we said that we're probably not going to have a concrete answer. Like LeBron and Steph shared an era.
Yes, they did.
Wemby and Ant, I think, are going to share this next era.
Yeah.
And Cooper Flagg's coming in next year.
Ooh.
I'm not saying he's like... I'm just saying. He's probably going to be the number one pick next year.
Yeah.
You never know.
If
he goes out east, yeah, he's American. He's a white dude.
Yeah.
That's fun. It's different flavors and different fans. As much as people don't want to admit it, it's just true.
Different
right?
demographic.
Yeah. And I think that's awesome, right? If he goes east, like if somehow the Chicago Bulls ended up with Cooper Flag or something like that, we could be having a conversation about that as well. I think somebody, we talked about Tatum, and you said it earlier. You said, ideally, it's someone in the opposite conference. Yeah. Ideally. So someone from that opposite conference might need to, step up. Mm. Yeah. Can I give a quick side note, a quick one name potentially?
Yeah.
Ja Morant.
Man, Ja's interesting.
Because I felt that he was where Ant was like a year ago. I felt he was
totally
was. I felt he was so close to and he came out with the shoe, and the shoe was nice.
I know. It is.
And he was jumping out the gym, and he dunked on Wemby this year.
Yeah. That's actually great.
Hold on. I'm about to tie this whole shit together. Y'all watch this. So, the NBA is probably going to go into expansion. How soon?
Yeah.
About a year or two, right?
Yeah.
Probably in 2 years. As soon as this media rights deal's up, Adam Silver has said that he wants to do the expansion right after. And the reason for it is because influx of money. They're going to see so much fucking cash in that 2-year span. The team that would go east is the Memphis Grizzlies.
Mm-hmm. I hope.
Now we're talking.
Yeah. Ooh. Mm.
Now we're talking.
This is the recipe, man. This is the recipe for it. If
them out east, dude, the East needs somebody that brings those eyeballs. And the Celtics definitely do, because they have their diehard fan base, so we definitely don't want to discount that. But bro, no one wants to watch the Eastern Conference Finals like that. I'm going to watch because I'm a diehard. That doesn't mean that
the West is capturing all the talk.
If it was the Grizzlies versus the if it was the Grizzlies versus the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals right now, how excited would you be?
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Way more excited.
Yeah.
So this could all shift in the next 3 or 4 years. And I'm glad I remember Ja Morant's name, because I'm like, I was thinking about him before this. I'm like, man, he deserves a mention.
Yeah.
He deserves a mention.
He does.
He has that look. He has that ability on the court. Mm-hmm. He had the Allen Iverson stamp when he posted the picture of his MVP and said, "You're going to get one of these soon." Like, it all resonates and it all fits.
Yeah.
And he dunked on Wemby.
Yeah. It's the only thing is the off-court stuff.
Important to bring up.
I don't know. It is big.
I think he's had a year where he's been humbled. And I think he's had almost 2 years now. He got suspended and then tore his shoulder, came back and was like looking like one of the best point guards in the league, and then tore his shoulder.
That's another thing.
That's rough. And he's small.
Yeah.
But there's no doubting the ability and that franchise. That franchise is good. Like, they have good infrastructure around him.
Yeah, but they need him. They need him to, play.
1,000,000% they do.
Because it reminds me of Curry, because Curry's really injury prone, but they, like you said, they had the infrastructure in place to make sure that it didn't fall apart quickly.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is without Curry, and obviously without KD, it's like you don't have much anyway, right? But Curry persevered. So I would hope that Ja can also persevere. I mean, again, we're speculating. We don't know. I mean, he could be completely healthy and he'll be good to go for a while, right? And if that's the case, then we have a real conversation on our hands. So,
I love it. We're gonna say Anthony Edwards, Wemby.
It's good that we're struggling. It's good that we kind of have an idea of the two.
We're gonna say Anthony Edwards, Wemby, but the East needs somebody.
Yeah, I think that's a good.
The East needs somebody, man.
Yeah,
it could be Tatum. It could be. I mean,
it's supposed to be.
It's supposed to be.
Yeah.
I love that.
And even D-Mitch is out there and not much is happening.
Yeah.
So for example, if you want someone who's a pretty dynamic player, I would consider him a dynamic player.
Absolutely.
I'm
with you.
What else? And Giannis is out. Sixers are out. The Knicks are out. I mean, Jalen Brunson's a force of his own.
Yeah,
but
he's special. But I look at him as he's going to be someone we remember as like a legend. He's going to be someone we're like, man, that small guard existed in a league full of bigs.
Yeah.
But we're not going to, he's not face of the league.
Yeah.
I ain't hating on Jalen Brunson.
I
might be his second biggest fan behind my girlfriend.
Yeah.
But like
watch out.
Yeah, right. Jalen Brunson, I'm going to beat your ass. No, but I feel like we kind of narrowed it down.
Yeah.
Ja Morant kind of snuck up at the end. if this was a race, John Morant would have snuck up at the end at third, right?
Yeah.
Close third.
I think so.
Much closer third than like you would think.
Actually, hold on. So I think this is a really good segue because this is the final question of the 3 that I posed in the beginning, which is, what will a player need to have to carry this generation, this next generation of the NBA that's going to be different from what the previous faces of the NBA exuded?
It doesn't have to be different if the formula is there. Anthony Edwards fits that formula.
But do you think that, for example, do they need to be present on social media? Do they need to have a huge following on social media? Right? I'm thinking like really modern now because the sport is changing. The media rights landscape is changing. There's a lot of things that are changing. And these players are extremely young to the point where in 10 years, our world could look very different from today.
When me and you were in 8th grade, do you remember people would go to school in like they would wear jeans with the Kevin Durant shoes on or jeans with like LeBron's on and shit? Yeah, the foams. Yeah, foams as well. Someone tweeted, Anthony Edwards better chill out before he has people wearing the AE1s, his shoes, in jeans, right?
Okay.
And it kind of reminded me, I'm like, yeah, we used to do that. Kind of embarrassing, but
yeah.
We used to wear the basketball shoes with the jeans. And I feel like with Ant, he has that off the court presence. The shoes are nice. That's kind of cool, right? It's a nice added bonus that the shoes are nice. And the fact that he's jumping out the gym, the way that MJ used to sell it was, if you wear my shoes, you'll be able to jump like me. It's got to be the shoes. It's got to be the shoes of Spike Lee, right?
Yeah.
I feel like with Ant, he has a little bit of that acting and kind of like persona where he can get on camera and kind of sell himself that way, where it's like, hey, man, buy my stuff too, and you'll be just like me.
Yeah.
And I feel like that might be like the slight little difference that he has over Wemby, right?
Yeah.
Because like I'm looking at the shoes right now, they're fucking nice. And he just made a low edition and he's wearing the lows right now. I believe they're camo. They're very nice. I thought about buying them just to hoop in. And I don't know that I would do that with anybody else. I don't own a pair of John Morant's. Yeah. I own a pair of Damian Lillard shoes just because they're comfortable.
Right.
But
so he has the marketing.
I think he has that.
Yeah. So he has the acumen. He has the marketing acumen, right? But is there, what I wonder about is
he's been in a movie. He did Hustle with Adam Sandler. I almost said Adam Silver. Yeah. He did Hustle with Adam Sandler, and he was really good in it. He has his commercials.
Yeah, he reminds me like even like Pac and stuff. Like they were just like featuring in films, even though he was a completely different industry.
MJ, if I told you Space Jam 3 was Anthony Edwards, would you be surprised?
Oh no, that'd be so sick. That'd be so sick. I think that's actually the only character who can probably play him. If that could fit, that could emulate Jordan's.
One thing I love about Wemby is that he's not trying to be somebody else.
Yeah.
But Anthony Edwards is naturally that somebody else that guy would try to embody, So yeah,
that matters.
But this is all icing. To bring it back to what you were saying, if you're not winning championships, who gives a shit?
Of course.
If Anthony Edwards and Wemby are both in their primes, and for some reason, and I don't believe this will be true, but if for some reason Anthony Edwards can't get past Wemby, nobody's going to care about them commercials. Nobody's going to care about that persona. They're just going to say, Wemby's better.
Yeah.
Wemby's better, and you can't get through him. And that's it. So, ultimately, winning defines all. But I think I actually, this might sound crazy because we've never really seen it like that coming out of the same conference. But I think these guys are going to go back and forth. 1 year, it's going to be Wemby. Then the next year, it's going to be Ant. Then 1 year, it's going to be Wemby. Then maybe the next 2 years, Ant. And then the next 2 years, Wemby.
Yeah.
I really do believe that.
Okay.
Now, the question is if there's someone out east that can say, fuck the both of you.
Yeah.
It was like when
that's what we need.
When the Pacers and the Knicks had that big rivalry going on, and but they never won a championship. So it never ultimately really mattered. You don't even probably know what I'm referring to. And that's my point.
Yeah.
So this is over.
That's wild.
Wow.
I got to take a moment, bro.
I might have to put the volume up for a second. We'll be back in 30 seconds. About this whole discussion, Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves just won. And it's interesting because we were just talking about it right now. He only has 16 points. Jokic has 34. Jamal Murray has 30. Oh, shit. I forgot to mute the TV. If you guys hear that in the background, I apologize. But Anthony Edwards only had 16. Jokic and Murray had 34 and 35 respectively.
Oh, damn, bro.
Damn.
Damn.
Nobody else had above 7 points. That's crazy. So here we are talking about how kind of winning defines everything.
We just kind of manifested it.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
It's a great point because Jokic had the better game, is, the better player right now, obviously. Yeah. I'd hope so. He's the MVP. Yeah. But people aren't going to care about that because he's not back in the finals.
Yep.
It's crazy.
And more on that point, it's that, and this is not to hate, this is pure observation. Jokic is the best player in the world, and he was literally in the finals last year, and he's not even going to the finals now. He's not even going to the conference finals now.
It can't be your era if you're not.
Exactly. And
nuts all over it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and again, it's not, we're not trying to be pretentious.
Not at all.
We're not trying to, we're not
discredit or anything.
Exactly. Yeah. This is just the fact of the matter.
Yeah.
If you look at the history of the league and the most successful periods of the league in history, you need to be a serial winner, and not just one and done. And I'm not saying he's going to be a one and done, but exactly what just happened, it's just the vacuum, and it's up for grabs. The title is up for grabs.
So much of what we just said in this, I just thought back to everything we said in this episode. I was like, well, what if Jokic goes to the finals this year and wins it? Bro, none of that even matters.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
This is crazy. I can't believe, I'm not super, super surprised, but.
Yeah and no. Because
yes, exactly. Yes and no.
Damn, dude. That's crazy. Huge, man. You just beat the reigning champs in a Game 7 in
Denver.
At their territory.
So this year we're getting another new champion because the Nuggets won last year. So it's either going to be the Pacers, not going to be the Pacers.
No.
The Celtics, the Wolves, or the Mavs. Someone's winning their first ring. Someone from that new generation is winning their first ring. What a timely
conversation, bro. What a timely conversation.
What a great time, bro.
Okay, well, we'll wrap this up.
Yeah.
I think we've gotten our points across.
Excuse everything I said about Jokic, about just what if he wins this year. And yeah, I guess all of it's null at this point, right?
We got to go back and listen and see, but
we'll see.
I think a lot of it probably will be.
Yeah.
No, I think the points that we laid out are pretty fundamental. And we're witnessing it right now in real time. And we started this conversation by basically saying, like, we don't really have that one player who's snatched the title yet, right? And it's up for grabs. And you even asked the question earlier, which is like, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Like, there's a lot of parity in the league. What does that mean for the NBA? And now we're here, right?
If Tatum, Luka, or Ant win this year, and they do it definitively, and they stand out above the rest.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's keep it fun. We're gonna wrap this up.
Yeah.
All right, who do you want to see in the finals? Given this entire conversation that we just had, but just as a fan, who do you want to see? I want to see
Timberwolves, Celtics.
Do you think that'd be close?
6 or 7. Hold on, let's hear what Anthony Edwards has to say. We actually, I don't know if you saw it, but earlier in this season we had Tatum and Ant kind of going at it, and I think Ant was talking shit, saying like, "Don't forget, I can play defense too. I can play defense too." I'll definitely pop that up right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'll be fun if it's them.
I think it needs to.
It's a good matchup.
Yeah,
it's a very good matchup.
That's it. We're gonna see the Celtics come out the East, bro.
What if the Pacers just?
Well, if they put up a good fight, they put up a good fight.
It'd be fun. I at least take a 7 or 6.
Like you said, someone's going to win their first ring. That's actually such a good point, and that is so exciting. And we're not even,
we just forgot, not we forgot, but we're not even mentioning the Mavs. Yeah, the Mavs could do it. Luka, Kyrie.
It's so interesting because I think the last, with Miami and the Nuggets, they were also they were vying for their first ring too. So we're starting to see a trend now, right? We're only in year 2 of this trend, but like people are winning their first rings now almost every year.
Mm-hmm.
This is the epitome of a transition.
That's crazy.
So I think we'll leave it at that.
What a time to be an NBA fan.
What a time. And let's see if those media rights. It looks like those media rights deals might be a valid price. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe a little overpriced.
100%.
We'll see.
They're about to get a good deal.
All right, folks.
Wait, who's winning the finals? Quick prediction.
Why'd you have to put me on the spot like that, bro?
He was about to wrap up. His brain shut off right before.
I might have to say the Wolves, bro.
Yeah?
I think I might have to say the Wolves. People are going to be like, dude, you're so stupid. You should be picking the Celtics. They've been to the finals before. They're an experienced team. They have the players. But, man, I don't know, bro. Because, like you said, Anthony Edwards can play defense too.
All right.
I don't know.
That's who I want to win.
It's the fact that I have to stop and think is amazing.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. What a time.
Like I can't be wrong by saying that now, because technically none of them have won fucking rings.
That's a great point.
So
someone new is going to win a ring. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah.
And with
we'll
that,
leave it
folks,
at that.
we're out.
Peace.